The night sky over New Mexico glowed with unusual patterns as the massive ship entered Earth's atmosphere. John Carter stared through his telescope, his hands trembling slightly. For weeks, he had tracked the strange signals, trying to convince his NASA colleagues something was coming. Now, undeniable proof hovered above them. "They're really here," he whispered, reaching for his phone to call his supervisor. Within hours, the world's governments scrambled into emergency sessions. News channels broadcast continuous coverage as the alien vessel positioned itself over the Atlantic Ocean, just east of the United States coastline. Lisa Morgan sat rigidly at the head of the conference table in the Pentagon's secure meeting room. As head of Global Defense Coordination, she now faced humanity's greatest challenge. "We need to establish communication before anyone does anything stupid," she said, glaring at the military officers itching for action. "This is first contact. We follow protocol." The United Nations hastily assembled a team of linguists, scientists, and diplomats. They sent carefully crafted messages in multiple formats, hoping to convey peaceful intentions. For 3 days, the alien ship remained silent, motionless except for smaller craft that occasionally emerged to circle the planet. On the 4th day, they responded. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We represent the Galactic Council, governing body of the civilized systems. Your world has been assessed as a potential resource zone." The message, broadcast simultaneously in every major human language, sent chills through those who heard it. Lisa's team analyzed every word, noting the conspicuous absence of friendship or cooperation. "They're scanning our military installations," reported Alan Ramirez, the Air Force General monitoring defense networks. "They're mapping our capabilities." Lisa nodded grimly. "Keep all forces on standby. No provocative actions." But the Council had already made its decision. Without warning, a beam of intense energy shot from the ship, striking a military base in Nevada. The explosion vaporized everything within a 3-mile radius. "This demonstration should clarify our position," continued the alien broadcast. "Your technological level is insufficient for meaningful resistance. The Galactic Council has designated Earth as Category 3, suitable for resource extraction with limited indigenous preservation." Panic spread across the planet. Riots erupted in major cities. Religious groups declared the end times. Military forces worldwide went to highest alert despite their leaders' hesitation. In the White House Situation Room, President Valerie Hayes faced the most difficult decision of any leader in human history. "We can't surrender without trying to negotiate better terms," she insisted, though the strain showed clearly on her face. Lisa Morgan's team worked frantically to establish direct communication with the alien vessel. "We request a meeting to discuss peaceful cooperation," she transmitted repeatedly. The aliens finally agreed. A smaller craft descended to a designated meeting point in Switzerland. 5 representatives of the Galactic Council emerged, tall beings with iridescent skin and 4 arms. Their translator devices converted their clicks and whistles into flat, emotionless English. "Your species has been evaluated as aggressive, territorial, and unsuitable for full integration," stated the lead alien, who identified himself as Zorthax. "The Council requires your mineral resources and biological samples. Compliance will allow for preservation of 30% of your population as a labor force." The human delegation stared in horror. "This is unacceptable," Lisa responded firmly. "Earth is our home. We propose a trading relationship instead." Zorthax made a gesture that might have been amusement. "Your proposal is noted and rejected. You have 48 Earth hours to begin evacuation of designated extraction zones. Resistance will result in decisive action." As the alien delegation returned to their ship, Lisa contacted the president. "They're not here to make friends," she reported grimly. "We need to prepare for the worst." Around the world, humans began to realize the terrible truth. The stars they had looked to with hope and wonder for centuries had been hiding something far more dangerous than anyone imagined. Humanity's fight for survival had begun. The world's leaders gathered in an underground bunker beneath Geneva as Zorthax's ultimatum echoed through every communication channel. Giant screens display the alien's cold, calculating face as he outlined the Council's demands. Earth will surrender access to all mineral deposits, water sources, and biological specimens. Humans will relocate to designated preservation zones. Those who resist will be eliminated as examples to others. President Hayes clenched her fists under the table. "They're treating us like animals," she whispered to Lisa Morgan, who sat beside her taking careful notes. "The Galactic Council has catalogued over 6,000 worlds," Zorthax continued. "Your species ranks as moderately useful but excessively violent. Your history of warfare makes you unsuitable for full galactic citizenship." After the transmission ended, the room exploded with angry voices. Some leaders demanded immediate military action, while others suggested surrender to save at least some of humanity. "We need time," Lisa interrupted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Time to understand their technology, their weaknesses. We should appear to negotiate while secretly preparing." Dr. Eric Williams, Earth's leading xenolinguist, volunteered to lead a diplomatic mission. "If we can establish better communication, perhaps we can change their minds about humans." 3 days later, Eric and his team of 5 specialists docked with the Council mothership. They were escorted through gleaming corridors by armed guards whose bodies seemed partly mechanical. The Council chamber itself was a vast amphitheater where representatives of 12 alien species sat in tiered sections. "You may present your case," Zorthax stated from the central platform. Eric spoke passionately about human achievements, art, music, and scientific advancements. He proposed cultural exchange and mutual learning instead of subjugation. When he finished, silence filled the chamber until one alien with tentacle-like appendages responded. "Your emotional appeal is noted but irrelevant. The Council's assessment is final." Without warning, Eric and his team were seized and taken to holding cells. "You will remain as study subjects," they were told. Back on Earth, Susan Davis, a top intelligence officer, hacked into communications that the diplomatic team had secretly transmitted before their capture. The data revealed disturbing information about the Council's history. "They'd done this before," Susan reported to the Emergency Task Force. "At least 37 species have been partially or completely eliminated for resources in the past century alone." She displayed images showing mining operations on devastated worlds, with surviving native populations kept in what could only be described as concentration camps. "And here's the interesting part," Susan added, pointing to hidden transmissions between Council ships. "Not all Council members agree with this approach. Some are pushing for reform, but the dominant faction maintains control through force." Meanwhile, Council ships landed in major cities worldwide. They established bases and began resource surveys, bringing heavy machinery unlike anything humans had seen before. Massive harvesters began stripping forests and draining water bodies. Any military resistance was met with overwhelming force. The Council appointed human collaborators as local administrators, offering them protection and privileges in exchange for controlling the population. Most governments publicly cooperated while secretly organizing resistance. In Washington, President Hayes met with Lisa Morgan in a specially shielded room. "Our open options are exhausted," Hayes said grimly. "We need to activate Operation Downfall." Lisa nodded. "We've already begun. Selected military and scientific personnel are moving to the secure facilities. Phase 1 of resistance starts tonight." Across the globe, as Council forces tightened their grip, small groups of soldiers, scientists, and civilians disappeared into hiding. They carried with them crucial equipment, weapons, and most importantly, pieces of alien technology secretly collected from crash sites and skirmishes. In an abandoned mine shaft in Colorado, Paul Morris, a former Marine colonel, addressed the first gathering of resistance fighters. "They think they know humans," he said quietly. They have no idea what we're capable of when backed into a corner. The old mining facility had been abandoned for decades before Paul Morris transformed it into humanity's best hope. 300 feet below the Rocky Mountains, the cavernous space now hummed with activity as scientists worked alongside soldiers and civilian volunteers. "We have 96 hours before they discover this place," Paul announced to the assembled group. "By then, we need to understand how their weapons work." Karen Foster wiped sweat from her brow as she carefully dismantled a damaged alien rifle. As a quantum physicist, she had spent her career developing theories about advanced technology. Now she held it in her hands. "The power source isn't chemical or nuclear," she muttered, scanning the glowing core with a modified device. "It's drawing energy from somewhere else, almost like it's tapping into another dimension." Similar scenes played out in hidden bases across the planet. While Council forces occupied major cities and installed puppet governments, pockets of resistance gathered in remote locations. Underground networks formed using old-fashioned radio signals and paper messages that avoided alien detection systems. Above ground, the occupation grew harsher. Humans were being relocated to crowded preservation zones, while vast areas were stripped for resources. Council harvesters tore through forests and drained lakes, careless of environmental damage. In Chicago, now a Council regional headquarters, Ben Wilson posed as a collaborator while secretly gathering intelligence. He wore the blue armband that marked human administrators and carried a Council-issued tablet. "Resource extraction in Sector 7 exceeds projections," reported the alien overseer, Krellbox. "However, we're experiencing higher than expected human desertion rates." Ben nodded, keeping his face neutral. "We're increasing patrols and rewards for reporting fugitives." Later that night, Ben transmitted the harvester schedules to Resistance headquarters using a device Karen had designed to mimic Council communication patterns. 2 weeks into the occupation, the Resistance achieved its first breakthrough. Karen called an emergency meeting in the command center. "They're not invincible," she announced, displaying a complex diagram on the main screen. "Their technology depends on specific radiation frequencies to function. If we can disrupt those frequencies, we can disable their weapons," Paul finished, a small smile forming. "Not just weapons," Karen corrected. "Their ships, communication systems, even their environmental suits. Everything is connected to their main network." The Resistance began manufacturing jamming devices based on Karen's discovery. Small teams infiltrated Council outposts to test them, achieving limited success. Each raid provided more alien technology to study. In what remained of London, Council forces suddenly found their communication systems failing in the financial district. When repair units arrived, Resistance fighters ambushed them, capturing valuable equipment before disappearing into underground tunnels. Similar incidents occurred worldwide. Small victories that gave humans hope while confusing the occupiers. The Council responded with brutal efficiency. Entire neighborhoods were destroyed in retaliation for Resistance activities. Public executions became common. Yet for each person killed, 3 more joined the Resistance. "They don't understand human psychology at all," Lisa Morgan observed during a secure video conference with global Resistance leaders. "They think fear will control us, but it's only making us more determined." In the Colorado base, now codenamed Eagle's Nest, Paul gathered his tactical team around a 3-dimensional map showing Council installations worldwide. "We've been playing defense," he said quietly. "It's time to take the fight to them." Karen entered the room, her eyes bright with excitement. "The prototype works," she announced. "We can now jam their systems for up to 15 minutes before they adapt." Paul nodded grimly. "That's enough time. Operation Thunderstrike begins tomorrow." As Resistance cells worldwide received their instructions, a renewed sense of purpose spread through the hidden bases. For the first time since the invasion, humans weren't just surviving. They were preparing to fight back. In orbit, aboard the Council command ship, Zorthax reviewed reports of equipment failures and unusual human activities. "Increase security protocols," he ordered. These primitives are more resourceful than expected. He had no idea what was coming. The Council war room buzzed with frustrated activity as reports flooded in from Earth outposts. Equipment failures were increasing at an alarming rate. Supply ships reported navigation malfunctions. Communication networks experienced unexplained outages. These incidents cannot be random. Zorthax insisted to his commanders. The humans are coordinating attacks, but our intelligence suggests they lack the technology to affect our systems. Perhaps we underestimated them, suggested Krulvox, who had been studying human history. Their historical records show remarkable adaptability during conflicts. Zorthax dismissed the concern with a wave of his upper limbs. They are merely primitive primates with basic technology. Increase the punishment protocols. Fear will control them. On Earth, the resistance was indeed far more organized than the Council realized. In a secure lab beneath Detroit's ruins, Olivia Grant hunched over a microscope, examining the biological weapon the Council had threatened to deploy against uncooperative human populations. It's ingenious but predictable, she explained to the resistance leaders watching via secure video link. The pathogen targets DNA sequences common in humans, but not present in Council species. Can you neutralize it? Lisa Morgan asked from Eagle's Nest. Olivia smiled for the first time in weeks. Better. I can modify it to recognize their DNA patterns instead of ours. Their own weapon turned against them. This breakthrough came just as Operation Thunderstrike entered its final preparation phase. The plan was audacious. Simultaneous attacks on Council installations worldwide, followed by a major assault on their lunar base, which served as their primary Earth operations center. Greg Winters, a former Special Forces commander, had developed guerrilla tactics specifically designed to confuse Council forces. His team struck without warning, using the jamming technology to disable Council weapons, then disappearing before reinforcements arrived. They think in straight lines, Greg explained during training sessions. They expect direct confrontation because that's what they saw in our military history. They don't understand asymmetric warfare. The human advantage became increasingly apparent with each successful operation. Council troops, heavily reliant on their technology, became disoriented when their systems failed. They struggled to adapt to changing situations without central command guidance. Meanwhile, the resistance forces grew stronger. Escaped scientists and engineers continued to reverse engineer alien technology. Agricultural experts developed hidden food production systems. Recruitment networks smuggled skilled individuals from the preservation zones. The Council's first major defeat came unexpectedly. A small resistance team led by Captain Frank Harris infiltrated a Council weather control station in the Andes. Instead of simply destroying it, they reprogrammed the facility to create a massive storm over the Council's South American headquarters. The atmospheric disturbance disabled the base's shields for critical minutes, allowing a secondary team to infiltrate and extract valuable intelligence data. The operation cost the Council 23 ships and over 100 troops. They believed their technology made them invincible. Frank reported afterward. They never considered we might use it against them. The lunar assault marked the turning point. Using modified Council shuttles captured in previous raids, a combined team of former astronauts and military personnel approached the Moon under the guise of a routine supply mission. Once docked, they deployed Karen's jamming devices throughout the base. In the resulting confusion, the human forces secured the command center within minutes. For the first time, humans took Council prisoners and gained access to their central database. You have made a grave miscalculation, the captured lunar commander told Greg as he was secured. The Council will send its battle fleet. Your planet will be sterilized. Greg smiled calmly. We're counting on it. Back at Eagle's Nest, Lisa Morgan reviewed the intelligence from the lunar database with growing excitement. We've confirmed Council fleet movements, she informed the global resistance leaders. They're bringing their main battle group to Earth, just as we hoped. Paul Morris nodded grimly. They think they're coming to crush us once and for all. Instead, Lisa replied, They're walking into the perfect trap. As Council reinforcements approach Earth, human resistance forces prepared for the most daring phase of their plan. The real war was about to begin. The Council battle fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 57 warships arranged in the traditional crescent pattern that had conquered hundreds of worlds. Admiral Vuxkeller stood on the command deck of the flagship, confidently observing the blue planet below. "Primitive world, prepare for final subjugation," he announced through the fleet-wide communication system. "Your resistance has triggered Protocol 7. Your civilization is now classified for complete replacement." The message echoed across Earth's communication channels. In response, silence. No pleas for mercy, no desperate counterattacks. Nothing but eerie quiet. "They've accepted their fate," one of Vuxkellar's officers suggested. "Humans have finally understood their position." The Admiral narrowed his 6 eyes. "I find their silence concerning. Scan the planet thoroughly." Before the scans completed, Earth revealed its hidden defense system. From orbital positions camouflaged to appear as space debris, 20 satellite platforms suddenly activated. They weren't broadcasting signals. They were emitting precise energy frequencies that matched the Council ship's power cores. On the Council flagship, alarms blared as systems began failing. "What's happening?" demanded Vuxkeller as bridge lights flickered. "Some kind of resonance attack," his science officer reported, mandibles clicking nervously. "It's forcing our power cores into unstable patterns." 4 smaller Council vessels exploded as their containment fields collapsed. Others drifted helplessly, their propulsion systems offline. From the lunar base, now under human control, Daniel Miller led the counterattack. A fleet of modified Council shuttles, piloted by Earth's best former fighter pilots, launched toward the disoriented invaders. "Remember the plan," Daniel reminded his forces. "Target propulsion and weapons first. We need those ships intact." The human assault caught the Council completely by surprise. They had never imagined humans could turn their own technology against them so effectively. One by one, Council ships found themselves disabled by precise attacks on vulnerable points identified from the captured lunar base data. Inside the massive Council flagship, Vuxkeller ordered an emergency transmission to Galactic headquarters. Earth resistance stronger than anticipated, requesting immediate reinforcement. But the message never sent. Amanda Scott's team of hackers, working from a hidden facility in Singapore, had penetrated the Council's communication network. Instead of Vuxkeller's distress call, they broadcast something very different to the entire galactic network. The broadcast showed compiled footage of Council atrocities on Earth. Civilians being executed, cultural treasures destroyed, environments devastated. It included internal Council communications discussing humans as expendable resources and biological specimens. Most crucially, it revealed secret Council directives showing the invasion violated the Council's own laws regarding developing worlds. Throughout Council space, the reaction was immediate. Member species who had been told Earth was a dangerous, aggressive world saw the truth. Worlds that had experienced similar pacification recognized the pattern. Questions arose in the Galactic Assembly. Protests erupted on central planets. Daniel's forces successfully captured the Admiral's flagship after intense fighting. Vuxkeller himself was taken prisoner, an unprecedented humiliation for the Council. "Impossible," he hissed as humans secured him. "Your species cannot defeat Council forces. It defies all probability models." "That's your fundamental mistake," Daniel replied calmly. "You calculated everything except human determination." As news of the Earth victory spread throughout Council space, several member races began openly questioning the leadership. The Arcturians, long uncomfortable with expansion policies, called for an emergency review of Earth's case. The Pellerin Federation, a major Council power, demanded access to unfiltered information about Earth. Several worlds with historic grievances against Council exploitation saw a potential ally in humanity. In Eagle's Nest, Lisa Morgan received the reports with cautious optimism. "We've won the battle," she told her exhausted team. But the diplomatic war is just beginning. Earth's defenders had earned respect through force, but lasting peace would require something more. As human representatives prepared to address the Galactic Assembly directly, the true revolution was taking shape, not just for Earth, but potentially for countless oppressed worlds throughout the galaxy. The grand chamber of the Galactic Assembly fell silent as Michelle Clark stepped onto the speaking platform. As Earth's chosen representative, she faced over 300 delegates from across the galaxy. Many viewed her with curiosity, others with open hostility. "Distinguished representatives," Michelle began, her voice calm despite the pressure. "I come before you not seeking revenge, but justice, not just for Earth, but for all worlds that have suffered under corrupt leadership." Behind her stood a small team of humans, including Lisa Morgan and Daniel Miller. They had spent weeks preparing for this moment, knowing Earth's future depended on their words. "The Council Executive claimed Earth was dangerous and primitive," Michelle continued. "They told you we needed to be controlled for the safety of the galaxy. These were lies to justify stealing our resources." She activated a holographic display showing the evidence collected from captured council ships. Records of illegal directives, plans for total resource extraction that violated galactic law, private communications discussing how to hide the truth from assembly members. "For centuries, the Executive Council has operated above your oversight," Michelle explained. "Many of your own worlds have been similarly deceived. We intercepted classified records showing at least 27 civilizations wrongfully categorized as aggressive to justify exploitation." The chamber erupted with angry voices. Representatives from multiple species demanded to examine the evidence. Others called for the immediate arrest of Executive Council members. From his secured position, Zorthax attempted one final desperate move. He ordered the remaining loyal Council forces to launch a massive attack on Earth. "Eradicate the human infestation once and for all," he commanded. The assault fleet approached Earth, expecting an easy victory against the supposedly weakened planet. Instead, they faced humanity's new defense system, a combination of modified Council technology and innovative human engineering. Earth's orbital platforms now projected an energy field that disrupted Council weapons before they could fire. The few ships that broke through encountered squadrons of hybrid fighters piloted by Earth's best. The battle lasted less than 3 hours, ending with the complete surrender of Council forces. Back in the Assembly, the news of this final victory strengthened Earth's position. Michelle skillfully formed alliances with sympathetic species, particularly those who had suffered similar treatment. "We propose a complete restructuring of galactic governance," she announced. "No more secret Executive Council making decisions behind closed doors. No more classification of worlds to justify exploitation. We call for true democracy with representation for all sentient species." The Arcturian delegate, his crystalline form shimmering with approval, stood in support. "The humans speak truth we have long suspected. The current system serves only the powerful. It must end." One by one, representatives from across the galaxy joined the call for reform. The Pellaran Federation, the largest economic power in the Assembly, officially withdrew support from the Executive Council. "For too long we ignored signs of corruption," their delegate admitted. "In our comfort, we became complicit. The humans have awakened us to our responsibility." As support grew, even former enemies recognized the changing tide. Several high-ranking Council officers defected, providing additional evidence of systemic corruption. The Executive Council's authority collapsed within days. In an unprecedented move, the Assembly voted to form a transitional government. Michelle Clark was selected as one of 12 representatives to oversee the reformation process. "Earth does not seek domination," she assured the Assembly. "We seek partnership. The galaxy belongs to all sentient species, not just the technologically advanced or militarily powerful." As the session concluded, Lisa Morgan approached Michelle with rare tears in her eyes. "We came so close to extinction," she whispered. "Now we're helping reshape the galaxy." Michelle nodded solemnly. "This is just the beginning. Real change will take decades. But we've created the opportunity," Daniel added, "and shown the galaxy that determination can overcome even the most advanced technology." As Earth's representatives prepared to return home, messages flooded in from across the galaxy, worlds offering alliances, trade agreements, cultural exchanges. The species that had been deemed too primitive to join galactic society was now at the center of its greatest transformation in millennia. The sky over Geneva blazed with light as ships from 27 worlds descended for the historic ceremony. 1 year had passed since Earth's victory against the Council, and today marked the official formation of the new Galactic Alliance. Jason Wilson stood at the center of the outdoor amphitheater, representing humanity alongside delegates from across the stars. Once a history professor, now Earth's chief diplomatic officer, Jason still found it surreal to be negotiating with beings from distant worlds. The treaty before us today represents more than peace. Jason addressed the assembled delegates and the billions watching across the galaxy. It establishes a foundation of equality among all sentient species, regardless of technological development or military strength. The document they called the Geneva Accord outlined the new galactic structure: a representative assembly with equal voting rights, protection for developing worlds, regulated resource sharing, and a joint defense force with members from all signatory species. In the front row sat heroes of Earth's resistance: Lisa Morgan, Paul Morris, Karen Foster, and others who had risked everything. Many bore scars from the conflict, but today their faces showed only pride. "Let us remember," Jason continued, "that our victory came not just from weapons or technology, but from unity. When Earth faced extinction, we set aside old rivalries and worked together." The most dramatic change following the Council's defeat had been the liberation of subjugated worlds. Earth forces, alongside allies from reformed Council worlds, had freed planets where native populations had been reduced to slave labor. Seeing humans helping restore their sovereignty had earned Earth powerful friends throughout the galaxy. As Jason completed the formal signing ceremony, the Arcturian delegate approached him. The crystalline being's voice resonated through his translator. "Your species has accomplished something unprecedented," the Arcturian observed. "In less than 1 standard year, you advanced from facing extinction to reshaping galactic civilization." Jason smiled modestly. "Necessity is a powerful motivator." "It is more than that," the Arcturian insisted. "We have observed that humans possess unusual adaptability. When combined with your emotional resilience, it creates something unique in our experience." The transformation extended beyond politics. Earth had become a center for technological and cultural exchange. Karen Foster now led the Institute for Cooperative Technologies, where scientists from dozens of worlds collaborated on peaceful innovations. Olivia Grant's medical research team had adapted Council biological technology to cure several human diseases. In return, Earth's arts, music, and literature fascinated many alien cultures who had evolved with very different creative expressions. Not everyone embraced the new order. Remnants of the old Council maintained control over several distant systems, refusing to recognize the alliance. Intelligence reports suggested they were rebuilding their forces, potentially planning revenge. In response, Earth had established the Guardian Initiative, a program to identify and protect developing worlds from exploitation. Jason had personally championed this cause, remembering how close humanity had come to subjugation. "We've designated 32 worlds for protection," he explained to the Alliance Security Council later that day. "Species with the potential for sentience, but still in early development stages. No interference, no contact, just shield them from those who would exploit them." The Pellerin representative nodded approval. "From merely conquered to protectors of others. Your species continues to surprise us." As the ceremony concluded, a fleet of new ships launched from Earth's orbital shipyards. Built with combined technology from a dozen worlds, they represented the first true Alliance patrol force. On the bridge of the flagship, Captain Mia Russell watched Earth recede from view as they prepared for their maiden voyage. "Our mission is to explore, not conquer," she reminded her mixed crew of humans and aliens. "To offer friendship to new worlds and protection if needed." The ship accelerated smoothly into the darkness between stars, carrying with it humanity's new place in the cosmos. In just one extraordinary year, Earth had transformed from an isolated world facing extinction to a founding member of a new galactic community. As stars streaked past the viewports, Maya reflected on how close they had come to losing everything. Earth's fierce retaliation had not just saved humanity. It had created the opportunity for something greater. A galaxy where cooperation replaced conquest, and where even the smallest voices could be heard.